Hello and welcome to Competitive Being, the go-to place for aspiring minds aiming to succeed in civil services examinations and other competitive examinations. Today we have some multiple choice questions, particularly based on Indian Council Act of 1909, the Government of India Act of 1919, and the Government of India Act of 1935. These GK or general knowledge are for general studies. These are some of the multiple choice questions, and these have specifically crafted to enhance your understanding and preparedness for your examination. So, before we get started, if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all our latest content. So let's jump right in and start discussing the important MCQs, which I think will be very helpful for all of you in your preparation for competitive examinations and civil services in particular. So let's start. The first question is based on the Indian Council Act of 1909, which is also known as Morley-Minto reforms. The first question is, what are the key features of Indian Council Act of 1909? A. Introduction of separate electorates for Muslims. B. Establishment of federal court. C. Introduction of DHG. D. Granting of full suffrage to Indians. So the right answer is A. So 1909 Indian Council Act actually provided for what? Provided for introduction of separate electorate for Muslims, and it became one of the very politically sensitive issues in India. So the answer is introduction of separate electorate for Muslim. The act introduced the principle of separate electorates for the Muslims, and it was a very significant step towards communal representation in India. The second question is about 1909, and the question is this: the Indian Council Act of 1909 increased the size of which legislative body? A. Provincial legislative assemblies, provincial legislative councils, Governor General's Council, Imperial Legislative Council, provincial assemblies, and the answer is imperial legislative bodies. So the right answer is C. The act expanded the size of imperial legislative council, allowing for more representation. The third question is, who were key figures in the formulation of the Indian Council Act of 1909? Lord Curzon A. Lord Curzon and Mahatma Gandhi. B. Lord Mountbatten and Jawaharlal Nehru. C. Lord Morley and Lord Minto. D. Lord Dalhousie and Lord Cornwallis. So these are four options: A, B, C, D, and Option C is the right answer. Lord Morley and Lord Minto. So here are some of the important, names of uh, different persons. Let's talk a bit about these persons. First of all, Lord Curzon. Actually, Lord Curzon was the Viceroy of India between 1899 and 1905, and he's known for his controversial decision to partition Bengal into two provinces. So it was Lord Curzon who actually uh, started this controversy to partition Bengal into two provinces. Then came you have Lord Morley. Lord Curzon, actually known for the partition of Bengal, which became very controversial. The second person is Lord Morley. Lord Morley is basically was the Secretary of State for India, and he actually allowed supplementary questions to members of Executive Council. So he was the Secretary of State for India. Lord Morley was the Secretary of State for India. Then you have Lord Minto. Lord Minto was the Governor General of India from 1807 to 1807 to 1813. Then you had Lord Dalhousie. Lord Dalhousie was a very famous British person who was here, and he introduced some important reforms also, and also he also introduced some of the controversial reforms. For instance, he played a significant role in the introduction of reforms like railway, telegraph, postal networks in India. At the same time, he also introduced the doctrine of lapse policy in 1857. So, the doctrine of lapse was very, very controversial. Doctrine of lapse. It means अगर कोई शासक हैं और कोई उनका खुद का कोई उत्तराधिकारी नहीं है या सक्सेसर नहीं है, तो उसका मतलब ये हुआ कि ऑटोमेटिकली बाय डिफ़ॉल्ट वो जो राज्य हैं डायरेक्टली ब्रिटिश के अंतर्गत आ जाएंगे, ब्रिटिश के पास आ चले जाएंगे. सो ये नीति उन्होंने लागू किया था जो कि काफ़ी कंट्रोवर्शियल था. इसको हम कहते हैं डॉक्ट्रिन ऑफ लैप्स पॉलिसी. सो देन अनदर पर्सन कॉल्ड you have Lord Cornwallis. Lord Cornwallis is known for introduction of zamindari system in India. Zamindari system in India. He introduced zamindari system in India in 1793 through parliament, permanent settlement. So these are some of the important points that we have to remember. So who were the key figures in the formulation of the Indian Council Act of 1909? I said the right answer is C, Lord Morley and Lord Minto. And the act often referred to as Morley-Minto reform was formulated by Lord Morley, the Secretary of State for India, and Lord Minto, the Viceroy of the then India. The next question is about the Indian Council Act of 1909, which is known as what? So Indian Council Act of 1909 is also known as A. Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, Morley-Minto Reform, Pitt's India Reform, or Simon Commission? Which is the right answer? B is the right answer. Morley-Minto Reform. The Indian Council Act of 1909 is also known as Morley-Minto Reform. So it is named after, as I said in the previous question also, named after Secretary of State Morley and the Viceroy of India Minto. So it is commonly referred to as Morley-Minto Reform. But this, A, that is Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, was introduced particularly the self-governing institutions in India. So this reform, Montagu-Chelmsford Reform, is known for the introduction of self-governing institutions in India. And you have Morley-Minto Reform. It is known for separate electorate, right? As I said, the answer is B, right? So this Indian Council Act of 1909 is also known as Morley-Minto Reform, which introduced separate electorate, and also it introduced some elected elements in legislative council. So this is also known for the introduction of certain electoral elements, election element into the legislative council. Then next question is, what was the primary aim of Indian Council Act of 1909? Option A, to grant independence to India. B, to introduce federalism in India. C, to address political demands of Indian nationalists. D, to establish Hindi as national language. So the right answer is C. It is basically to address political demands of the Indian nationalists. So to address the demands of the Indian nationalists, Indian Council Act of 1909 was introduced. So the act was a response to the growing political demands of Indian nationalists, aiming to provide limited reforms in governance. The next question is again about the Government of India Act 1909, that is Montagu-Chelmsford Reform. What system did Government of India Act 1919 introduce in provinces? Option A, diarchy, then you have monarchy, then B, monarchy, C, federalism, D, communalism. So the right answer is DSG. So A is right answer. The act introduced DRC system in provinces, dividing administrative subjects into transferred and reserved subjects. The next question is, who were instrumental in creating the Government of India Act of 1919? Lord Curzon and Mahatma Gandhi, A. B, Edwin Montagu and Lord Chelmsford. Then you have Lord Dalhousie and Lord Cornwallis. Then you have option D, Lord Mountbatten and Jawaharlal Nehru. So this particular act, that is the Government of India Act of 1919, was actually introduced and Edwin Montagu and Lord Chelmsford were instrumental in introduction of this particular act. So this is the right answer. B is the right answer. The act known as Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms was developed by Edwin Montagu, the Secretary of State for India, and Lord Chelmsford was the Viceroy of India. Next question is, a significant feature of Government of India Act 1919 was, you have four options. Which one is the right answer? A. Introduction of bicameral legislature at center, granting complete independence to India. This cannot be the right option. Establishment of the first Indian Parliament, abolition of caste system. This is also not the right option. So the right option is A. The introduction of bicameral legislature at center. So the act actually introduced a bicameral legislature for the first time in British India with Council of State and a legislative assembly. So option A is the right answer. The next question is, the Government of India Act 1919 extended the principle of what? A. Communal representation, universal adult franchise, complete self-governance, separate electorate for women. So these are not the right answer. A is the right answer. So the act extended the principle of communal representation by continuing separate electorate, which was first introduced in the Indian Council Act of 1909. So it actually further extended the principle of communal representation. This act, the Government of India Act 1919 actually further extended the principle of communal representation. The next question is, what was one of the limitations of the Government of India Act 1919? A. It did not provide DHC in provinces. It failed to grant full fiscal autonomy to provinces. It failed to provide full fiscal autonomy to provinces. It abolished Indian civil service. It made Hindi the national language. So D is incorrect. C is also incorrect, and it didn't provide for DSC in provinces. It is also incorrect. The right answer is B. It actually failed to grant full fiscal autonomy to the provinces. So this is one of the limitations of the Government of India Act of 1919. So while introducing significant reform, this 1919 Government of India Act actually introduced significant reforms, but the act didn't provide full fiscal autonomy to provinces. So it actually limited their financial independence. The next question is, the Government of India Act of 1990 was a result of this, or you have four options. A. Jallianwala Bagh massacre. You have non-cooperation movement, the recommendation of Simon Commission, then you have roundtable conference. So the right answer is the Jallianwala massacre. Jallianwala massacre. So you might be familiar with this biggest, event in modern Indian history. In fact, this event took place in April 13, 1919. The British troop actually fired on a large crowd at Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar, is in Punjab, and it was the General Dyer who order to fire on the crowd. So many people actually died. Then you had non-cooperation movement. Non-cooperation movement actually took place between 1920 and 22. Gandhiji's first experiment, so to say, a first experiment uh, in the direction of civil disobedience movement to grant, this movement was a demand to grant self-government and Swaraj in India. So the next one is about what recommendation of the Simon Commission. In fact, Simon Commission recommended abolition of DRC and establishment of representative government in provinces, etc. And we had actually three roundtable conferences between 1930 and 1932 to discuss constitutional reforms between Indians and actually British. The next question is, so the right answer is what? The right answer is A. The Government of India Act 1990 was a result of the Jallianwala Bagh massacre, and the act was partly responsible to the political unrest and demands for reform following events like Jallianwala Bagh massacre, which took place in April 13, 1919 in Amritsar, Punjab. The Government of India Act 1935 is one of the very, very important acts in India, British India. So, this question is about uh, the Government of India Act of 1935 provided for what? A, we have four options: establishment of All India Federation, granting full independence to India. This is not the correct option. Evolution of caste system. This is also not the right option. Establishment of a communist government. This is also incorrect. So B, C, and D is incorrect. So the right answer is establishment of All India Federation. The Government of India Act 1935 was a very comprehensive document which impacted and influenced in a big way to the drafting of Indian Constitution. Also, there are many provisions which actually was influenced by this particular act or the Government of India Act of 1935. So the right answer is the establishment of All India Federation. The Government of India Act 1935 actually talked about provided the framework for the establishment of an All India Federation, and the act proposed the establishment of an All India Federation consisting of provinces and princely states. The next question is, a major feature of Government of India Act of 1935 was A, introduction of provincial autonomy, the start of Indian National Congress, the abolition of separate electorate, granting of voting rights to women. So the right option is the introduction of provincial autonomy. So 1935 also talked about some sort of federation in India. All India Federation means it is about the some sort of autonomy to the provinces. So the right answer is A, the introduction of provincial autonomy. The act introduced provincial autonomy, replacing DRC with more autonomous provincial governments. Next question. The Government of India Act 1935 established what? Option A, Federal Court of India, Indian National Army, the Republic of India, the first Indian University. These are all incorrect. The Indian National Army is incorrect. Then you have Republic of India is incorrect. Then you have first Indian University. This is also incorrect. So it actually established Federal Court of India. A is the correct answer. A Federal Court of India was established in 1935. The Act established the Federal Court of India, a significant development in the judicial system of India. So the next question, the last question is again about 1935 Act, the Government of India Act of 1935. Which statement about the Government of India Act 1935 is true? A. It led to immediate formation of All India Federation. It introduced direct election for first time in India. It provided for the establishment of bicameral legislature in India. It granted complete independence to India. This is incorrect. It was only Government of India Act 1947 which talked about some sort of independence, but not 1935. So this A is incorrect. It led to immediate formation of All India Federation. No, because 1935 Act was never implemented fully. So C is the right answer. The Government of India Act 1935 provided for the establishment of bicameral legislature. The Act proposed bicameral legislature, though the All India Federation it envisioned was never fully realized. So it had certain provisions and very important provisions. There were many important provisions in Government of India Act 1935 which were not implemented in India. So these are some of the important questions regarding the Government of India Act 1935 and 1909 19 and 1909. So thank you for watching. Please stay tuned for next video where we'll continue to discuss some of the important questions. We'll bring some traditional questions, history, geography, polity, economy, and also some of the current affairs questions. So thank you so much for watching.